What makes the impeachment such a phony reality show pantomime is not so much what Donald Trump did or didn't do, but who the people are prosecuting him. That's what makes it so absurd. You know, I'm really kind of upset a little bit with some of us on the right who have taken this attitude that Trump can do no wrong. First of all, the idea that anyone can do no wrong is absurd. And the idea that Trump, who's a flawed guy, can do no wrong is also obviously absurd. And thirdly, the idea that we have to attach ourselves to an individual as opposed to the principles he may or may not represent is wrong. And this is different than calling balls and strikes. I said this before. I don't call balls and strikes because I believe only one team is ever playing for America. I don't believe the left is ever playing for the American way. They themselves say they're not. They say they hate America. They say they're against 1776. They say we're racist in our bloodstream. So I'm not calling balls and strikes on that. I'm going to support the guy who is opposing them, no question about it. But that doesn't mean he's always right, and it doesn't mean he's always helping the cause. And with Trump, as I keep saying, I think he had a genuinely great one-term presidency. And I think he did the wrong thing at the end. I think he did the wrong thing. And I don't think he incited the riots, but I think he did the wrong thing. And I think he was slow to say, let's get out of there, to call on the rioters on January 6th to stop. So, you know, I think they have a case against him, something to say about him and all this. He's out of office. So I think does the Senate have nothing to do? I mean, that's my question. Do they have absolutely nothing to do but impeach a guy who the people already voted out of office? Do they literally, they look at their calendar and say, there's nothing happening in the country. I'm just the senator. I'm just the legislator. I just make the laws. We don't need any laws. We don't need any, nothing needs to be reformed. Nothing needs to be fixed. We don't need to do anything. Everything is tickety-boo. So let's impeach the president since we're not doing anything else. But the fact that the people who let BLM, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa riot and burn and kill across the country for months on end and told us it was justified, that they are now making a big emotional show about how evil Donald Trump is, that to me is just pure show. It's just pure reality TV. So, for instance, I don't believe that the election was stolen, even though I do believe there's fraud, and I believe it was rigged by the press. There's no question about that. I've talked about that at length. But I don't believe it was stolen with the Dominion machines. I don't believe that stuff. So let's say that these people who invaded the Capitol were being made emotional over something that didn't happen. That's also true about systemic racism and the narrative that police are killing black people left and right. That's just not happening. That's not true. George Floyd, the idea that George Floyd is all over, there are pictures of him all over with little angel wings. This guy who held a woman at gunpoint while his friends home invaded her. This guy who had a level of fentanyl in his body when he died that makes it even questionable whether it was the police. The police were wholly responsible for his death in spite of the fact that they acted badly. All of this stuff was used emotionally to gin up violence for political reasons. And the idea that the people who did it on one side are impeaching the guys they say did it on the other side is, to me, just remarkable, and only made possible by this thing we've been complaining about now for 20 years, the complete monopoly of the press by one side of the question, the monopoly of the press, the monopoly of the academy, all of this stuff. As I sat down to start the show today, perfect timing, my doorbell rang, and it was the flowers I ordered for my wife for Valentine's Day. I wanted her to have them over the weekend. You want to be able to respond wherever you are to people coming to your door. And that's why a Ring doorbell is a great thing to have. With Ring, no matter who comes to your door, good guy, bad guy, you can see him, you can talk to him, no matter where you are, right on your phone. You'll never miss a visitor, whether it's your neighbor, your dinner, your groceries, or the flowers. You got your wife. I love having the Ring video doorbell, and I've actually added some Ring security cameras around the house too, so you can check on your home without having to get out of bed. You can see what's going on. And right now you can get a special offer on the Ring Welcome Kit at ring.com/Klavan. It comes with Ring's Video Doorbell 3 and Chime Pro, the perfect way to upgrade your front door and start your Ring experience. Go to ring.com/Klavan. That's ring.com/Klavan. Anyone shows up at your door, no matter where you are, you can say to him, how do you spell Klavan? If he knows, call the police.
There are no easy things.
and all of the rhetoric is ridiculous. Here's California Democrat, I think, Jackie Speier, during the impeachment. I just want to have a couple of cuts of this because I don't want to cover it in detail because it's just such a fake. It's such a fraud that I don't even want to dignify it by covering it. But I just want to hit a couple of points. Here's Jackie Speier talking about this, cut 23.
I intend to, like so many of my colleagues, to put into words that every American can hear for decades to come, how close we came to losing our democracy. This is a man that intended to overtake this government. And it's astonishing to me that so few of my colleagues on the Republican side, even after witnessing that, even after being part of that insurrection, are unwilling to do their jobs and protect the Constitution and protect the democracy.
What makes this so interesting is this phrase, our democracy. They're defending our democracy. Dan Henninger writes about this in the Wall Street Journal. He says, when progressives refer to our democracy, what they mean is their democracy. To be a member of their democracy, one has to share their beliefs. If you're not in, you're out. And if you're out, they may come after you for being a threat to democracy. Other than carbon emissions, what could be worse? In the Washington Post recently, Stacey Abrams, the Georgia Democrat, wrote a piece titled, Our Democracy Faced a Near-Death Experience. 4 paragraphs in, Ms. Abrams places Republicans outside democracy. Here's what she says. Our democratic system faces extraordinary threats today because of sustained attacks from Republican leaders who throw up roadblocks to voting, and among the worst actors, stoke the flames of white supremacy and hyper-nationalism to cling to power. Going back to what Gina Carano said, this is demonizing ordinary, decent Americans who are Republicans, who are conservatives like me, probably like you, who believe in the things that they believe in. These guys are white supremacists. They are a threat to our democracy, which can only be a place where men can become women, where climate change is a threat, and where requiring ID is suppressing the vote. I mean, this is the incredible thing about the narrative we're getting from the left, is that the idea that we want people to identify themselves in order to vote, that's suppressing the vote. But the idea that they are making it possible for anybody to vote, even if he is an illegal alien, that is not voter fraud. So if you say it's voter fraud, you're fired. But if you say you need basically the same kind of identification you need to buy a bottle of liquor, you are suppressing the vote. And that's pure narrative. That is pure kabuki. Absolutely just framing things in a way where one person who disagrees with the Democrats is evil and is a threat to our democracy. And the other side of this, I just have to play Ayanna Pressley, her comments on this impeachment, cut 24.
As a Black woman, to be barricaded in my office, using office furniture and water bottles, on the ground, in the dark, that terror, those moments of terror, is familiar in a deep and ancestral way for me. And I want us to do everything to ensure that a breach like this never occurs at the Capitol, but I want us to address the evil and scourge that is white supremacy in this nation.
Now, I would like to address this as a Black woman as well, because I'm just as bald as she is. And I would like to say that this is absolute garbage. This white supremacy thing is also absolute garbage. And the reason I say it's garbage is because Joe Biden has made it clear, the Biden administration, because I don't know how much of this is actual Joe Biden, but Biden has made it clear that he is enslaved to the teachers' unions, and he is not going to do a damn thing to open up the schools that teach our children, especially our minority children, many of whom are Black. He's not going to do a thing for them. So everything they say means nothing. Everything they say is a lie. When they talk about white supremacy, they're just talking about we're enslaved to the teachers' unions. We're not going to teach your children anything. When they talk about reparations, it's because they're enslaved to the teachers' unions. They're not going to teach your children anything. When they talk about anti-racism, that just means don't pay attention to this. Look over there. Look quick, squirrel, because we are not going to teach your children anything. We are not going to do anything that makes it possible for your children to thrive in America, because the right are white supremacists. It's like the woman saying that the Cuomo administration hid the fact that they were killing people because Donald Trump said they were killing people. It's like they are not going to help your children, your Black children, because of white supremacy. Everything they do, every word out of their mouth, every one of their supposed ideals is a dodge. And this is the thing that is kind of becoming weirdly upsetting on the one hand, but it's weirdly dreamlike on the other. They do things and you realize it doesn't matter, because eventually reality is going to catch up with them. Eventually it's going to become clear that men can't become women. Again, eventually women are going to start to say, you know, I actually want to be able to be a woman and have my values and have my life and have my kind of life, and not be told that my kind of life is worthless to people, not be told that I'm less than people, not be told that somebody can just put on a dress and tell my daughter that she can't compete with him on a track field or on a sporting field. You know, there people, eventually reality does have a voice, and eventually reality comes back. We just like it to come back now. But in the meantime, children are not being educated. Black people are going to suffer terribly from this. Minorities, poor people of all kinds are going to suffer terribly from this. And they're talking about, Ayanna Pressley had a deep ancestral fear because a couple of clowns ran into the Capitol building. Again, not justifying the riots, but the way they are phrasing this and the drama they are making of it completely ignores the fact that their people, their rioters, the Black Lives Matter rioters, burned down black neighborhoods, killed a black retired cop, ruined black businesses. That doesn't matter. It's all about the power. It is all of it, a show.